What's going on YouTube? So the Lexus NX has always been poised as a baby RX in the Lexus lineup. And similar to the Lexus RX, for 2025, Lexus is adding some new features to this NX. So what's new for 2025? And does this give you the baby RX experience for less money? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's get started under the hood. So you're gonna have the same powertrain options for 2025, which is 3. We've got the 350 version, which is a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 275 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Power is routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and our combined fuel economy for this all-wheel drive version is 24 miles per gallon.
Now, of course, later on in this review, we'll be taking this out for a spin to see the performance, as well as get things like our signature sound level reading. We're also going to be discussing a new thing that we're integrating into our reviews, predicted resale value and reliability, so you'll certainly want to stay tuned for that.
But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood, take a look at the exterior and the interior, and see what's new this year. Now, starting off here with our front end design, you are, of course, going to have that signature Lexus look. So we've got the spindle grille, but we also have the F-Sport version. So what that means is that you're gonna have this dialed up to the most aggressive form. Everything here is finished in the gloss black. We also have the exclusive mesh that's gonna run through the entire grille itself. And then over in this area, you're also gonna get these very aggressive looking elements around the fog light area. Now, of course, like I said, you can get something a little bit more subdued if you prefer that as well. Now, let's talk about the lights. These are also your signature Lexus design. We've got the Arrowhead daytime running light, and we've got the turn signal indicator. LEDs will be standard, but as equipped, we have the triple beam LED headlight. So this is the more premium multi-crystal arrangement as an option. Down below, we also have those fog lights I was mentioning earlier, and we have cornering lamps. And then as we move around to the rear design, you are definitely getting that baby RX appearance.
Yeah, that's for sure. A lot of the Lexus SUVs have a very similar look to them, and it's a very classy look overall. Now let's dive into some of the features that you're gonna get here with the design. We have a spoiler, integrated wiper right here, and then let's check out the taillights. Now these are a full-length taillight design, and as you can see, we do have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and LED turn signal indicator. I like that the turn signal is amber in its color scheme, and overall it's a really nice looking taillight. The only thing I could complain about is that the brake light is pretty small. As we drop down to this lower diffuser, since we have the F-Sport model, that does mean that we have a very aggressive diffuser design. However, we're not going to have exposed exhaust outlets. As far as your tow rating, it's going to be 2,000 pounds for this model.
Now moving on to our wheels, you have various choices between 18 and 20-inch alloy wheels. We have 20-inch alloys on the F-Sport, full gloss black finish on board with these, and I think overall it looks very nice. Now the F-Sport also is going to give you body color wheel surrounds, and speaking of body color, one of the 2025 changes is that we now have available the copper crest color option. So that's a color that started on the RX. It's been expanding across the Lexus lineup, and it's a very unique look that you can now get on your NX for 2025. Now, as we pull back to the mirrors, we got the nice gloss black finish, and these are fully loaded with all the features. So you have blind spot monitoring, you have heating, you have power folding, and you have auto dimming.
Now here at the side of the NX, we come in at an overall vehicle length of 183.5 inches long, which is a little bit shorter than some of those main rivals. And as far as design elements here with the F-Sport, we have smoked window surrounds and a black roof rail up top. Now, one of the things that I really like about the Lexus NX that is different from some of those German rivals is that you're going to get all of your safety systems as standard equipment on this model. So all 4 active features and some extra goodies are standard on the Lexus NX lineup. But let's see what's new on the inside for 2025. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and check out the interior. Here's our Lexus key fob. You know, it's the same as always. You do have the standard smart entry system. You have an available digital key as well if you prefer to get in with your phone instead. Now, this is an electronic door handle, so you just reach behind, pinch the pad, and that will open up the door. Now, checking out the interior, this was, you know, fairly recently redesigned, so of course the main aesthetic of the interior is going to stay the same for 2025, but there are some details that I will mention. First though, let's talk about our seats and our overall cabin material and color choices. So most models will come with new luxe leatherette, including the F Sport model. But since it's the F Sport, we do have the sport seats, so you have the thicker bolsters and a totally different design as well as F Sport branding. We've got the black color option. You can also get a circuit red instead, and overall it feels very realistic. Now if you want real leather, you can get that, but you're gonna have to choose the 350 luxury trim. As far as the seat adjustments, we've got 10 ways of power adjustment right there with two-way lumbar support. Memory seats are also an available option on most trim levels. But let's go ahead and get inside. And now that we're inside, let's talk about the rest of the cabin materials. We'll begin with our door trim. We do have a leather pad that runs through here as well as through the center section. We have a soft touch plastic along the top. And then we got a piece of aluminum trim. This will also be substituted out for a open pore wood if you choose the luxury trim level instead of the F Sport. Across the upper dash, this will all be a soft touch plastic. You have some piano black accents that kind of run through here, and then we got more leather that runs along the side of the console for your knees to rest against. Everything does feel nice and solid, as we expect from a Lexus product. Let's go ahead and fire it up with our push button start. And now that it's fired up, let's get into some of the specific details. We'll begin with our gauge cluster. So this is a 7-inch reconfigurable gauge cluster. So basically that center section there is a display. You can change various things inside of the display. But I did notice something that has been updated for 2025. So we've got a head-up display on this model. It is optional. Previously though, if you were using the touch capacitive buttons on the steering wheel, each one of these virtual buttons corresponds to a virtual space in the head-up display. But now for 2025, we also see that here in our gauge cluster. That way, no matter if you look up or down, you'll be able to see what type of virtual button you're trying to control here on the steering wheel. Now, as we pull back, you might have noticed that the wipers are automatically wiping the rain off, and that's because we now have rain sensing wipers as standard equipment on every single Lexus NX for 2025. The wheel itself is going to be power tilt and telescoping, so long as you choose at least the premium trim level, and steering wheel heating is an available option as well. Now, we'll turn over here to our interior storage evaluation. So we've got the double opening center console, and I'm very happy about how much space we have inside. It's a very large console filled with our donuts. To be exact, it has 12 donuts, which means this is a pretty good volume as compared to a lot of rivals, which are going to have a lot less space inside of here. Now we've got our 2 cup holders right there. You have a little storage area, optional wireless phone charging pad, 2 USB ports, and then new for 2025 is the fact that down here in our hidden storage compartment, we've got 2 more USB ports. Those are both the C varieties, and we still have our 12-volt outlet as well. Now, we've got our electronic style shifter like most Lexus products. You go to the left, pull back for drive. You have paddle shifters on the steering wheel as well for the F Sport trim level. Go the opposite way for reverse. When you go into reverse, you'll either get the standard backup camera or you'll see this 360-degree panoramic camera. This is an available option on the NX trim level. You can also do the spin around view as well. And when you back up, it begins to be transparent underneath of the vehicle. So that's kind of a cool thing. Just press the P there to park. I also want to point out that parking assist is going to be standard equipment as well for 2025. Now, as we move from the shifter area, the next place we come to is our volume knob. So you've got 2 different sound systems that are available. 10 speakers will be standard, or an available 14-speaker Mark Levinson sound system. So let's go ahead and give that a sample right now. Had to give it a second there so you could hear the beat drop. But yes, overall, very good sounding sound system. It certainly fills up the cabin nicely. Mark Levinson's always seem to be very good sounding sound systems. All right, let's take our attention now to the main display here, and specifically our climate controls first. So those are going to be built into the bottom section of the display, but you still retain physical controls here to adjust your temperature, and then your other controls are going to be inside the display itself. This is a dual zone automatic climate control system. It does also come with automatic abilities, so both your heated and ventilated seats as well as your steering wheel can be controlled automatically with the one temperature. Speaking of, heated seats are going to be standard, and then ventilated seats are an available option on most models, including this F Sport. Now, as far as the display itself, this is a 14-inch display. That is going to be an optional display in the lineup, or else you're going to get a little bit of a smaller setup. But regardless, you're going to get Toyota and Lexus's newest software experience. This includes wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities, as well as a built-in navigation system. Now, as we rise above here, we also have the optional digital camera rear view system. So if you flip that switch, it's going to cut out any obstructions in the back. And then as we look at the top here, you're going to have two different choices. So you have an optional standard size sunroof. You also have an optional panoramic size sunroof like this if you want something a little bit bigger that lets in more light.
Now let's go ahead and check out the rear seat area for this 2025 NX. Now when it comes to this back seat space, it is a pretty good place to spend time, and the reason for that is because we have a pretty good amount of space. We're sitting at about 36 inches of legroom, about 38.5 inches of headroom, which does mean that it is smaller than some of the other German rivals. However, it is pretty decently sized within the segment, and you know, just for someone of normal size, I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". We're still sitting at about 7 inches of additional knee room, and my feet can slide up underneath of the seat. Now, the seats themselves do also recline pretty good distance, so, you know, it makes really sitting back here a lot more comfortable if you can recline as well. Now, as far as other things, here in the center, we do have standard vents on all models. We're also going to have a 12-volt power outlet and then 2 USB-C ports as well. Now, one of the things I do want to point out is that heated rear seats are an option. We don't have that on this particular tester. And then as we head over to the door trim is going to be nicely done. Soft touch plastic on all the upper part, more of that aluminum trim, leatherette all through the center. And I do want to point out the Stanley water bottle does not fit in that bottle storage, so do be aware of that. However, it does fit nicely in the center armrest portion with 2 cup holders inside. Now walking up to the tailgate, we do have a change for 2025. A power tailgate is now standard equipment on the NX. I'm definitely happy to see that because certainly on a luxury vehicle, I think a power tailgate should be standard. Now, as far as the space back here, let's go ahead and talk about this. We're sitting at about 22 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. Now, if we fold those seats down, we're sitting at about 46 cubic feet of maximum capacity, which does mean that we are going to be a little bit smaller than some of those other German rivals, such as Audi Q5, BMW X3, Mercedes-Benz GLC. So do keep that in mind. This is going to be on the smaller side of the segment. Now, in terms of the RX, it's really not that much smaller, so do keep that in mind as well. Now, one of the things I do want to point out is that the seats do fold 60-40 split, and we don't have handles to fold them here in the cargo area unless you option on heated rear seats. If you option on heated rear seats, you'll actually get little switches to electronically fold the second row down. But on this model, I'm just going to have to go up here and manually fold them. And now that I've folded those seats down, 60-40 split, let's go ahead and get our cargo measurements. That's something we do here in all of our Car Confections reviews in case you're looking to haul something specifically. And as far as cargo length, we're sitting at 72 inches, which is pretty good for this segment. As we come from behind the second row, we're sitting at almost an identical half of about 36 inches. And then as far as the cargo opening, this does look a little bit narrow, and indeed it is, about 39 inches as far as a cargo opening, so that's a pretty narrow figure. And then let me go ahead and try and get the cargo height. However, it's going to be a little difficult with this cargo net or cargo cover in place. It's going to be about 28 inches in overall height. Now, if I lift up the floor, you will see that we have quite a bit of underfloor storage. If we go behind that, there's even more storage. And as far as a spare tire, I do not see that here on this Lexus NX. All right, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Lexus NX 350. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration before we get things like our sound level reading.
Nice. So that was 60 miles an hour with the NX 350. So, as we mentioned at the spec dump, you have a lot of different powertrain choices when it comes to this NX. 350 is probably the most popular one because it gives you a good balance of having quite a bit of power, but also you don't have to have any types of hybridization or anything that people may or may not be comfortable with, but you do still have those options if you want them as well. But as far as this is concerned, 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 275 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque, which is certainly more than enough to get this up to speed quite quickly. It is sub 7 seconds 0 to 60 as a matter of fact, so pretty darn good.
Yeah, and one of the things I do want to point out is that this is actually the exact same powertrain that's most commonly used in the Lexus RX, in the RX 350 as well. So you're getting kind of that bigger engine configuration from the RX here in the NX, which is a little bit of a smaller package, so it certainly does feel pretty peppy. If you compare it to the rivals, it's a little less horsepower, but quite a bit more torque than a lot of the rivals, so kind of balances out there. Now, like Drew said, there are a lot of different engine options in this NX, so let me just go ahead and quickly read some of these off for you. The NX 250 is the base setup. That's going to lower your price down quite a lot. Basically, what it does is just give you the 2.5 liter turbo or 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that Toyota uses in some of their other products. It has 203 horsepower in that configuration. So yes, it's not going to be powerful at all, but it really does serve to lower the price down quite significantly, like I mentioned, and a lot of people don't necessarily need a bunch of power. They also offer a traditional hybrid setup and a plug-in hybrid setup. So there's 4 different powertrain options. We are hoping to cover the hybrid setups in a separate review this year.
As we accelerate there gently from that stoplight, talk a little bit about the transmission. So this is an 8-speed automatic transmission, just like it has had in previous years and several other Lexus products. Overall operation, as you'd expect, nice and smooth. Everything can be dialed up to be a lot sportier, of course, if you choose the sport mode.
Yeah, as far as how the power is routed to the ground, here on the NX 350, you do have standard all-wheel drive. So that's an important difference between the 250 and 350 is that the 250 can actually get front-wheel drive and has optional all-wheel drive, whereas this just has standard all-wheel drive no matter what. So those are some important things to keep in mind, especially when you're talking about that price difference. But just kind of cruising along the highway here, I do want to talk about your overall ride quality. Now, we've lived with this NX for a full week in the past. We've had it on loan, and we've driven quite a few of this new generation, and certainly the ride quality is a very strong area for this product. It definitely does a good job of soaking up the bumps. I do really like how these seats feel. You know, they are going to be a little bit tighter on the bolsters, but I think they really hug me in very nicely. So overall, I'm a really big fan of the ride quality of this vehicle. I do want to point out that here on the F Sport handling model, that is going to get you adaptive dampers. So when Drew turns it into the sport mode, as we accelerate up here, you'll be able to just see kind of the suspension difference, and we'll talk about that.
And we've been comparing a good deal to the RX because we were saying, is this an RX experience for less money with the NX? We'll point out the RX definitely does ride a little bit better. This is going to be kind of geared toward a little bit of a sportier experience for sure. nice.
All right, let's go ahead and get our sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. .9 decibels is what we're sitting at for this NX 350 F Sport. That is a pretty darn good sound level reading, but I don't have to sit here and guess because I can actually go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we posted all the sound level readings for all the cars that we reviewed on this channel, which certainly is a lot of different vehicles. So let's see how it compares. Well, cheers to consistency, I could say. That pretty much is identical to the 2024 NX 350 F Sport that we tested out last year. And that does mean it is going to be one of the quietest options in the segment. It is still a little bit louder than X3, Mercedes GLC, and Audi Q5. So do keep that in mind, but it is going to be quite a bit quieter than something like an Acura RDX, for example. So pretty good sound level reading. I did kind of notice the glass is real thick, so I imagine that does contribute to a very quiet experience in here overall.
So we're back in the sport mode as we go around the corner here. Now we don't have any real canyon roads or anything on this route, but like Mason said, we have tested this model out numerous times, and definitely is a pretty dynamic model when you go into the sport mode with the adaptive dampers. That helps minimize body roll, firms up the steering as well. This is not a hardcore sport model though, so it's not, I wouldn't say comparable to, you know, like a M40i model of the BMW X3 or anything like that, but it does give you just that little bit of sporty flair, which I think a lot of Lexus buyers are going to appreciate because you have both the design and also a little bit of additional capability to back that up.
Alrighty, and let's also talk about fuel economy. So we're sitting at 24 miles a gallon combined with the NX 350. We do have all-wheel drive standard, so that's your only fuel economy for this engine setup. The best fuel economy you can get is with the 250, that comes in at 28 miles a gallon combined, so a 4 mpg penalty for choosing the 350. Of course, if you're really fuel economy minded, I would recommend getting the hybrid version of this vehicle, or the plug-in hybrid, because there are two different versions there that really maximize your efficiency. And now it's time for our airball and slam dunk, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the 25 NX. Drew, do you want to kick us off with the slam dunk?
So Slam Dunk is going to be the exterior design. We just really like the way that it looks. It has those signature Lexus elements, but the NX looks sportier than the other Lexus SUVs. So that, I think, gives it a unique kind of vibe.
Yeah, I do really like that about this vehicle. Now, on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is we wish it had maybe a little bit more of a price value. This NX sitting today is around $58,000, which definitely places it well into the German car category. You can pretty much get a fully loaded base engine X3 and Mercedes GLC for around the $60,000 price point. So it's very much on top of the Germans when it comes to pricing, and that does mean it's going to be more expensive than something like an Acura RDX. So wish they had maybe done a little bit more of a value proposition with this NX to attract those other buyers. And lastly, in terms of your warranty, you have a 4-year 50,000 mile basic warranty, a 6-year 70,000 mile powertrain warranty. You do also get your first and second complimentary service visit. And now let's go ahead and talk about pricing for this 2025 example. So we're starting around $41,700 this year. Prices are going to rise around $1,000 across the trim levels. The 350 F Sport is going to start out a little bit higher than that. As you can see, we have the 2025 NX 350 F Sport. We have most of the options on this tester. Plus 1150 destination, we're sitting at $58,325 as tested today, which pretty much represents the highest end NX that you can get. But if you're looking to buy a Lexus NX or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now it's time for us to talk about potential resale value and reliability with this Lexus NX. Now, first up, we'll talk about resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lexus NX's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, this NX will be worth around 53.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, around 28.1% of its original MSRP. Now, it's worth noting that is a very good predicted resale value. It's actually the #1 luxury brand out there, and it's well above industry average for mainstream rivals as well.
We've also done the same for potential reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index, which takes trusted data from multiple sources and combines them in a useful way. In this, Lexus is rated as the 8th highest brand overall and also the top-rated luxury make.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is certainly a very big decision, and you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2025 Lexus NX 350 F Sport. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get more car content like this, you're also going to get access to being a part of our family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I'm sure you won't want to miss out on that. So go ahead, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.